This is why we don't allow animals into the studio, Carly. Come here, buddy.
But if we don't let him in, he just sits at the door and cries.
Mal.
Cold. I turned the
Mal.
heater on for you.
Mal. Ah.
Oh my
God. Now for our feature presentation.
First rule of the podcast studio is no animals allowed. So, this is our new intern.
This is the Tyson for the day.
He won a drawing. Hello and welcome back to another episode of How About This Movie? It's 2019. It's a new year. This is our first episode of the new year. And it's our first ever theatrical movie. We're the first time doing a movie while it's still in the theaters. It was interesting. We're going to be as light on the spoilers as possible. Maybe some of the jokes, but try to spoil the storyline as little as possible.
So, as well as it being our first of 2019, first theatrical release, it's also the first podcast with just the two of us.
Yes. Due to some traveling and some sicknesses going around, Tyson was not able to join us for the viewing of... I haven't said the movie yet.
Nope. Of this movie.
Was not able to join us for the viewing of the movie, so...
They saw the title, though.
That's not the point.
They clicked
no
on
one
this video.
reads. No one reads titles. They just look at thumbnails. That's why I always have my boobs out in the thumbnails.
Makes sense. That's why we don't get views. Ow.
Without any further ado, get rid of all of the suspense. We're going to be reviewing Holmes and Watson.
Are you sure it's not Watson and Holmes?
I am positive. Carly's saying that because every time I talked about Holmes and Watson while we were making the plans to go see the movie, I would call it Watson and Holmes. Pretty much anytime I bring it up in conversation, I call it Watson and Holmes. Cannot, for the life of me, remember to call it Holmes and Watson. I don't know, it just doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
So, Daxton.
Yes?
Who's in this movie? Because we didn't post a picture, so we can't do a shout out because it was a theatrical release.
Yeah, didn't think that I could whip my phone out in the theaters. Maybe we'll figure out a way to do that in the future, but for this one, there is no shout out. Thank you for asking who's in this movie. I don't know. I've never heard of... No, I'm just kidding. Holmes and Watson stars Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly in the title roles. Will Ferrell as Sherlock Holmes and John C. Reilly as Dr. John Watson. I don't think we really need any introduction on those two. They've been in Step Brothers together. They've been in Talladega Nights. Will Ferrell from Anchorman. John C. Reilly from What's Eating Gilbert Grape, that vampire movie.
He was in the music movie where he's the rock star or whatever.
Oh! Walk Hard, Bada Dewey Cox. Great movie.
Yeah, that one.
Fantastico.
That's the movie I think about when I think of John C. Reilly.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's Step Brothers, but...
I don't watch Step Brothers.
You don't watch Walk Hard either.
I've watched it more than I watched Step Brothers.
Not by choice. Lauren Lapkus plays Millie. She's I think it's okay to say.
Romantic interest of Holmes?
Yeah. Yeah.
A romantic interest of Dr. Holmes.
Yes. Is Holmes a doctor?
He's a detective.
That's not a doctor. Not a doctor. Laura Lapkus plays Millie, the romantic interest of Sherlock. You would probably know Lauren best from Jurassic World. She was one of the people in the control center with with the guy with the t-shirt from the old park. I want to say his name's Jack Johnson, but I don't know if that's right. It's not relevant because he's not in this movie. And Rebecca Hall plays Dr. Hart, who's kind of a love interest for Watson. You would know her from stuff like The Town and Iron Man 3. She's the one that comes up with the whole theory that they use in Iron Man 3. So that's that. Directed by Ethan Coen. The only other big directorial work from Coen would be Get Hard with Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart, but he also has writers credits for a lot of pretty big name movies like Men in Black 3 and
Okay.
Tropic Thunder.
So he did a little bit of writing work before doing directorial stuff with Will Ferrell.
Yeah, he's been writing for a while, and yeah, he did some other shorts with Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart, presumably for the movie Get Hard, but I don't know for sure. Yeah, that's who's in the movie. I don't think we should talk too much about the plot.
It's a comedy spin on what would be a Sherlock Holmes plot.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really all that should be said about it. Is it's a comedic take on a Sherlock Holmes movie or Sherlock Holmes story.
Yeah, it's not too off the wall on what a Sherlock Holmes movie would be. It's a Sherlock Holmes movie gone bad.
Yeah, it's definitely. No, yeah, I think we'll leave it at that.
So we can't really talk about plot holes much either, really, if we're not going to talk about the plot too much.
I don't really think I can't. I mean, it's not a lot of plot holes. I mean, I guess we can kind of get into what we think of the movie now, like as we kind of go through the list. I wouldn't really say there's a lot of plot holes aside from the fact that the plot's just bad.
I would say that there are more character flaws than plot holes.
Yeah, it seemed like it was well thought out. Like it made sense throughout the story. It didn't really feel like what the heck are you talking about here? You know, seemed like it was well executed, just not good.
It wasn't confusing.
No.
But like I was saying, the characters portrayed are just not what the characters should have been.
Such as what?
Like, there were a few of the scenes with Sherlock Holmes where he was not who Sherlock Holmes is supposed to be.
In what way?
Like, how he would do, like, the math in his head about, like, executing a certain thing to get the end result.
That's from the American Sherlock Holmes movie.
But he would still go through, like, in the books, he would talk about how Sherlock Holmes would, like, see something and deduce, like, a certain outcome, and then flub the first step.
In the books, he would flub the first step, or
no, in the movie, he flubbed the first step.
Well, all the times I remember him. Oh yeah, the one he flubbed the first step. The other time he did it perfectly. It just didn't work. But that's because it's a comedy. Like, if you really sit and look at it, he's kind of coming up short every single time.
And that's not who the character is.
Well, yeah, but I bet if you go back and look at other tellings of Sherlock Holmes, he doesn't go with the first clue and get it right away, because then the books would be real short, the movies and the TV shows would be real short. It's probably just like House. We can use that as a reference. House is the best doctor. Everyone's like, let's go see House. But he's always wrong at least once before he gets it right. I'm sure that it's not that far off. Like, I get what you're saying with, like, him coming with these perfect plans to do things and then executing them perfectly. But because it's a comedy, they're taking a little bit of liberty with the fact that Holmes isn't a perfect being. You're right, it's not true to the character, but it's just an exaggeration of...
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's just an exaggeration of the flaws instead of just being a little bit closer to the character.
Did you feel like there was any character flaws that really stood out or bugged you in the movie?
Well, I didn't know anything about the characters going into the movie. So, like, he's a huge egomaniac and he treats Watson like garbage and all that shit. And I just kind of was like, this doesn't seem right. I was wrong, though. Sherlock Holmes is a total sack of shit.
Yeah, that's pretty much his theme throughout the whole thing, because he's better than everybody, smarter than Watson.
Yeah.
Takes opioids to go down to the level of everybody else. Thus his opioid addiction.
So he's Dr. House before Dr. House.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I guess that has been the thing with brooding geniuses, is that they're giant sacks of shit. But I don't know. I didn't think that he would be.
You don't think Sherlock would be?
I didn't think he would be.
Mm-hmm.
I said I didn't know the character.
Okay.
I didn't think that John Watson would be some Stockholm Syndrome.
Admiration of this brilliant mind.
Someone that is clearly in a toxic relationship that needs to get out but can't. I didn't know that was his, lot in life.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Apparently. I guess it makes sense, though, having Robert Downey Jr. play Sherlock Holmes in another adaptation, because he's really good at playing an asshole.
I'm smarter than you.
Yeah.
Kind of stuck up.
So yeah, I guess it all makes sense, but I didn't know that about the characters, so that was a bit of a surprise to me. I wrote it in my notes I had to research, personality traits of Sherlock Holmes and, just read a couple pieces about, their relationship, Holmes and Watson, and things like that, just because I was like, this could not possibly be accurate, and I guess it is. Don't get it. Makes me dislike the story a little bit.
You still like House.
Yeah, but I knew House to be a sack of shit when I started watching House. And he still pissed me off. He's still a real McAsshole. It's funny that we keep referencing House, or I keep referencing House. It's mostly my fault. I like to bring up House. Because Hugh Laurie is in the movie, he has a brief cameo as Sherlock Holmes' brother. Didn't know Sherlock Holmes had a brother.
I also did not know.
While I was researching the movie... Oh, sorry.
That was canon?
I don't know if it was canon. While I was researching the movie, though, Stephen Fry also played Sherlock Holmes' brother in something.
Okay. So there's been...
Yeah.
Other references to a brother. They didn't introduce that idea.
Yeah, exactly. Since Tyson is not here today, I will be doing all of the budget instead of him doing some and me doing the rest. So the budget to make the movie was $42 million.
Okay.
Domestically, to date, they've made $28 million with a worldwide figure of 35, so another $7 million internationally. There's not a lot as far as the rankings and things like that, because it's still in theaters and it's still kind of going about. If it were to leave all theaters today and not get any more from the box office, it would rank 92nd for the year.
Okay.
Yeah. So it has yet to make its money back. As of the 6th, it hasn't made its money back, and it's not even in the top 50 as far as performance or as far as top performing movies of the year. It was definitely hurt by the critics. I mean, we know firsthand that some people didn't want to go because of reviews, so...
Oh, yeah. While getting together a group to go watch the movie, I invited a coworker who looked up reviews and said he did not want to pay money that he earns. He was like, I don't want to spend an hour at work to pay for this movie to have it ruin another hour of my life.
Right? And, I've heard movies get slammed before, and I've heard a lot of bad reviews about movies, and I always make sure to keep an open mind about whether or not I'm going to like a movie, because usually I disagree with critics, or I'm not going to let someone else tell me whether I should watch a movie.
Right.
But that's definitely not everyone's mindset.
Not if it's a consensus, but I agree with that, because if I only relied on your reviews for a movie for what I should watch, I would not have great times at the theater.
At the theaters?
Yeah.
I think I've only seen one movie in theaters that you wouldn't have liked.
But in general, if you're like, hey, this movie is awesome, you should watch this movie.
But I would take...
It's like a 50-50 chance if I'm going to like it or not. You know what I mean? So it's the same as a critic.
But every movie I've ever recommended to you has been good. Not every movie I've ever said is good.
Right, but that's the difference.
Yeah, exactly. My opinion versus me taking into account what you like.
Exactly.
Yeah, my opinion for you is, 50-50. Because I like The Departed, but I also like Step Brothers and Dewey Cox, and you hate both of those.
I said I like Dewey Cox.
What was your favorite scene?
I'm talking bad about the movie, but there are a few funny scenes. When they talk about like the medical care jokes with Dr. Hart, is that her name? I find those hilarious. Where she's talking about like women electroshock therapy and how her patients last like up to 11 weeks or whatever it is. Like, it's hilarious how they're talking about the advancements of like healthcare back in the day and how they don't need to learn anymore basically because they know everything.
We truly are in the golden age of medicine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just those comparisons are hilarious, I think. What about you?
My favorite scene, I won't go into too much detail just because it's kind of a critical plot point, but my favorite scene is the unexpected musical. I fucking loved that scene.
It's so fourth wall, too, because they reference it, too.
Yeah. And there's one part where he sings directly to camera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite scene. I'm in the same boat as you. I thought altogether this movie was garbage, but there was parts that made me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can just go right into scores and recommendations.
Okay.
I have one piece of banter that I forgot to do in the first part. So, what would you score the movie and would you recommend it?
I think I would score it 4 out of 10, maybe like a 2 out of 5, basically. It's not my favorite movie, but there's good parts about it, like we were saying. I like some of the humor. I like a lot of the acting isn't bad. There are some actors that did a really good job, even though some of them are just there to have fun.
Yeah. Would you recommend it?
No. Like, if that coworker came up to me today and was like, okay, now that you saw it,
should I see it?
Should I spend my hour of work to go see this movie? I'm going to say no.
And I think that's our first no.
So you say no too?
I'm thinking back on it. I think that's our first no. Even from me with Lost Boys. No, because there's no way we recommended watching Tall Man.
Yeah, I think we all said no.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we all said no to Tall Man.
Well, Tyson said that he recommends it if you want to sit around and shit on it with your friends.
Yeah, that's true. See, now I'm in a predicament because I said I'd never give a score less than what I give to Tall Man.
What did you give to Tall Man?
I think I gave it like a 4.
Okay.
So retroactively, I'm changing Tall Man to a 2.
Okay. I'll go back and change the film.
Yeah, I mean, it's still under views. We could change it to a 2 right now. You can just blank out the audio and put 2 in fucking cursive or whatever across it. I don't fucking know. Regardless, I have to give this a low score. When you go in expecting... No, I'm not going to say that. I'll get to that later. I have to give this a low score, though. It's got to get a 4 out of 10. Yeah, 4 out of 10 I think is good. I do not recommend this movie. I do not recommend this movie. If you really want to have a laugh at Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, you're better off watching Talladega Nights or Step Brothers and laughing at stale jokes. And I don't mean stale like in a derogatory sense. I just mean like for me, I've seen Step Brothers a lot. I've seen Step Brothers a lot. I would rather watch that again 4 times before I watch this again once. Like, it was not fun for me. I did not enjoy watching the movie. I think partially it's my own fault because I have to have a more critical eye when I watch movies. But yeah, I did not enjoy this.
It was an experience. If you do choose to go see it, do so with an open mind. There are good parts. It's going to be overall an experience.
For every good joke, feels like there's a predictable one, a dumb one, and then, oh, okay, I see what you're trying to do there one. Like, I wanted Step Brothers 2. Like, I wanted that kind of feel from the comedy. Because, I mean, you didn't like Step Brothers. It's fine. But the comedy in Step Brothers is all organic. It's not reference based. It's not observational humor. It's all from two 40-somethings that still live at home with their parents, making and becoming stepbrothers. It's a weird situation, but it's all organic comedy from the situation. The same thing with Talladega Night. Like, honestly, I'm going to go off on a little bit of a rant here, or a little bit of a tangent. If you look at Talladega Night as a blueprint for how the comedy in Holmes and Watson could have worked, it's almost perfect.
Okay.
Because you slot... Ow! Will Ferrell plays Ricky Bobby. Ricky Bobby is the star. He's always kind of taking advantage of his friendship with Cal Naughton Jr. It's pretty perfect archetype for the comedy. And instead it was fucking Anchorman 2, where it's like reference, forced joke, cameo. Like,
is Talladega Nights the car racing movie, or is that
it's the NASCAR one, yeah.
Okay, it's not the ice skating one?
No, that's Blades of Glory, and John C. Reilly's not in that.
Okay.
It's a good movie, though. I doubt you'd like it, but I love it.
Is it a lot like Talladega Nights?
No.
Because John C. Reilly's not in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got John Heater.
Okay.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think it's a perfect way for how the organic comedy could have come out of that. Like...
But then you would have gotten a lot of criticism to where it was like, oh, this is just Talladega Nights set in...
Well, it is.
1800s.
It's Talladega Nights set...
What year is it set?
I don't know. The 1800s, probably? It's Talladega Nights set in the 1800s if it wasn't fucking funny. Like, this movie is a huge disappointment. What's our... I don't know if you'll remember. What's our one rule, Carly?
Don't talk about the podcast.
No.
No animals in the studio.
No, what's our one movie rule that we have, that we've established, is what I mean. Okay, it's fine. So, I like to think that our one I like to think that our one rule that we've established for movies, we might have a second one now with the cameos, but I like to think that the one rule we've established is if you're watching the movie start and you don't recognize the production companies, you're probably in for a bad time. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't avoid all of the negative press about the movie because it's basically impossible in this day and age.
Right.
I didn't watch trailers and I didn't read reviews, but you still see memes and you still see things like that. So I went in knowing that this movie was going to be a bag of dicks. But I love these guys and I gave it a shot anyway. But then I started seeing the production companies come through. I'm just like, fuck, really?
They're the only ones that would sign on to this thing.
What the fuck happened?
Everybody else dropped them. They're like, no, we don't want to be associated with this.
Yeah, so that was not something I expected. But yeah, as soon as I saw it, I was just like, oh, okay, well, it's fucked.
Well, we were saying that a comedy spin on Sherlock Holmes could be a really good idea. But then you remember my dad's reaction to seeing the trailer for it. He's a really big Sherlock Holmes fan. Seeing Will Ferrell in the spot just turned him off completely from it. So I think they knew that that would be a reaction from a lot of people that really liked other adaptations of it.
Yeah. I wanted so bad for your dad to be wrong, too. Because I've seen Will Ferrell I've seen him act in a lot of things. And I had no doubt in my mind that this was going to be a good movie. I thought this was going to be incredible.
Had the opportunity.
Yeah.
But
I almost wonder if a comedic adaptation could work. I almost wonder if it could. Like, I think the kind of humor that you would get from, like, Robert Downey Jr.'s performance would be, like, the peak of the humor.
Fun facts. We got some facts and they're fun. Fun facts!
They're facts, and they're fun.
Yeah! Hello and welcome to Sad Facts. So I had touched on it already. They knew the movie was going to be bad. So a lot of the times they'll do test screenings for movies. During the runs of the test screenings for this, it was panned so poorly that Sony tried to sell it to Netflix.
Oh my god.
They knew that long ago. And it's not like you can just shelve a movie that you put $42 million into. But you know, maybe you fucking do. Maybe you just take the loss. It's rough.
You're losing money anyway as of right now. Maybe just take the L.
Yeah. I would imagine being this close after the worldwide box office and everything that they'll make their money back, but I mean not much beyond that.
Is it worth it? Because now you have that.
Well, I mean, a lot of people are saying that this is the end of Will Ferrell's career, which is horseshit.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are saying that he won't be able to recover from this.
A career of good movies and
Yeah.
one bad one is going to end your career.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can't ruin somebody's
I mean-
body of work because of one bad decision, unless it's like a really bad political decision.
Not to drag Adam Sandler, but look at Adam Sandler. Like, you can't say that Holmes and Watson is going to ruin Will Ferrell's career when Adam Sandler just keeps making shitty movies. Some of them I still like. I'm not going to pretend like I didn't like The Cobbler or
The Do-Over.
Ridiculous 6. I hated The Do-Over.
I like The Do-Over, but it's one of the only new ones of his I've seen.
But, like, Jack and Jill is terrible. Like,
So
he
bad.
just keeps making bad movies. So Will Ferrell's going to be fine. The other thing is it's obviously objective whether you like Will Ferrell's current body or recent body of work. I happen to do so. Like,
There's a lot of his movies that I actually really enjoy.
Yeah.
Some of them not so recent, but we were just talking about how much I love Elf.
but yeah, so I do think this could be a bruise on the ego, and it might be a while before we see anything else, you know.
Or he's going to try and bounce back with something else real quick.
John C. Reilly is an incredible actor. I think he's really found a way to be available for a multitude of roles throughout his career. He's in Gangs of New York. He's in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. He's in Dewey Cox. He's a leading man. He's the idiot. That's like the term for like the funny guy in the two-person dynamic. Like, he plays a myriad of different characters, and I think that's amazing for someone that very easily could have been typecast.
Oh, yeah.
Especially John C. Reilly, because he's kind of chubby, he's kind of goofy looking, and he's funny. Like, that's an easy person to typecast.
Absolutely.
And it just never really happened with him. And, I mean, I think Will Ferrell is an incredible talent. I think, say what you will, but I think he had good on-screen chemistry with Mark Wahlberg. They've made 3 movies together. He had good on-screen chemistry with Kevin Hart. Good on-screen chemistry with John C. Reilly, obviously. Sacha Baron Cohen.
I think Will Ferrell has been typecast, but by himself, though.
What do you mean?
Like, he'll make his own movies, but he's always Will Ferrell in them. He's never anybody but Will Ferrell. Like, John C. Reilly has many different parts that he plays.
Yeah.
Will Ferrell's only ever Will Ferrell.
Yeah. I kind of get what you're saying. I don't know if it's exactly a fair assessment, but I see what you're saying, so maybe it is.
Just comparing him to John C. Reilly,
Yeah.
who has done, I think, just more of a wide range and more noticeable wide range than Will Ferrell.
Absolutely.
His own movie, so he can play whatever the fuck he wants.
Yep, it's true.
If he wants to keep being Will Ferrell, he'll keep being Will Ferrell till the day he dies.
And regardless of what anyone says, he'll keep making money off of it.
Yep.
I think that's it. This definitely belongs in the not a fun movie club.
There might be more fun facts that come through once more of the actors can talk about, like, when they were making it. Or
Yeah.
who else was supposed to be considered for what, or
Yeah,
whatever
but
you want.
nothing in this movie, it doesn't really matter who was considered for what. Because they were never going to recast the 2 title characters.
No, but if there was, like, somebody else that was supposed to be Hugh Laurie's character, or somebody else that was supposed to play the maid's character or something.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I get what you're saying. It's not like when we did like Seven and they were talking about like John Travolta or like for like the main guy. Like it's just not as impactful. But yeah, there will eventually be more fun facts for the movie. But right now it's all about like Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry have both played characters related to Sherlock Holmes, but have never played Sherlock Holmes. And Ralph Fiennes has played Hades and Moriarty, and so has someone else, and like just things like that. So yeah, this wasn't fun to do.
Hopefully our next theatrical release will be better.
Yeah.
Let's choose better movies.
Yeah, this was a slog. I mean, there's not really another way for me to put it. This is the first time the podcast has felt like work. I do think 2019 is going to be a good year for us, as far as
fingers crossed.
Yeah, as far as working on this and working on some new content stuff. And I'm not going to say anything just until we have concrete a foundation for exactly how and when we're going to do that stuff. But we do have a lot of new ideas coming for 2019. The gameplay, like I said, is going to come back now that we've got our new equipment. That's just been tough with Tyson being gone for pretty much all of December, and then I got sick, he left, he came back, I got sick, he got sick. It's been a rough month as far as trying to coordinate doing all this with our lives outside of this. Well, that draws us to a close. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging in there with me while I shit all over this movie for however long it is after the edit. Remember, if you are new to the channel, to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Comment down below what movies you think we should watch in theaters or otherwise. Comment down below what you thought of the movie if you have seen it. Remember to follow us on all the social medias. It's Jekyll Studios, Jecll Studios on Facebook, Instagram, and is it still Jekyll Studios on Twitter?
Yep, at Jekyll Studios.
At Jekyll Studios on Twitter.
Sorry we couldn't upload a picture this time, but we normally do post obscure pictures of movies. If you can name it, you get a shout out. We're going to try to figure out how we can do that with theatrical releases. But yeah, we'll figure out something for theatrical releases, but all the movies that we watch that are not theatrical releases, we'll continue to do that. So if you want to shout out on the podcast, make sure you follow our social medias and you guess the picture. Thanks for watching. And as always, it's elementary, my dear Watson. This movie fucking sucked.